I love my work. I never want to stop. A lot of people think success is like getting a yacht and just not working ever again. But I think that is true when you don't like the work you're doing.
What does success mean to you?
This is so easy. I will do the work I want with the people I want to work with in the hours that I choose to work from anywhere I choose to work. So I went from being like the biggest enemy of retail to now I'm like this little hero in Lismore who's come in and saved a struggling store. It definitely has a sense of humor. So if there's a God totally laughed at that one.
My last question is, what's the one thing you're most proud of?
Not allowing
Yeah, that looks good. Hey there. Thank you for tuning in. Most people don't make it to this part of the podcast, so you've made it this far. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Before we dive into the podcast, I wanted to quickly express my gratitude to Northern Territory Government Office of Youth Affairs for sponsoring the podcast, sponsoring the event, and Charles Darwin University for providing us the space to be able to film. I also want to give a massive hug, a big thank you to my student club members, Preeti, Justin, Omkar, Tiraj, Piyush, Aday, Devansh, and Calvin. And am I missing anyone? No, I think that's it. For their support in making this event possible. I truly appreciate everyone's help. And of course, Dante St. James for coming onto the podcast, sharing all his wisdom, sharing all his insights, and being so open, so vulnerable, and sharing all his story. This has truly been an exceptional experience for me, truly life-changing, and I really enjoyed filming this podcast, editing this podcast, and just being in that process. I had multiple moments of goosebumps while I was at the event, while I was editing, and while I'm filming this video. And when this podcast goes live, I would be in a constant state of goosebumps anyway. So I want to share that energy with you. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And at Young and Curious, we're trying to keep our promise of bringing quality content every single time. So if you like the work we're doing, please subscribe to the show and share it with a friend. We really appreciate it. Let's dive right into the podcast. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Or no, actually, not goodbye. Let's get into the podcast. We're just getting started. Okay, cool. So let's begin. Firstly, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the fact that we are meeting on the lands of the Larrakia people, and I'm very honored to be here. I've been here almost 6 years now, and I feel very lucky and very privileged to be welcomed on this country. So yes, I'd just like to acknowledge the Larrakia people, the elders past and present, and pay my respects. We have Dante St. James here with us in the studio today. The first question I actually have for you, okay, so it's gonna get funny. Let's imagine that you've applied for a job, right? And I'm interviewing you for a job.
Okay.
I want you to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Dante St. James. I'm really excited to be here. I want to hear so much more about this job, and I've got a ton of questions I'd like to ask. I know they've got questions, but I've got more, trust me.
And let's imagine that we're on a date. How would you introduce me then?
Wow, I thought you looked taller in your profile pic.
Cool. And let's imagine that this is an actual podcast, and now I want you to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Dante St. James. I'm a bit of an entrepreneur, a bit of a nuisance on LinkedIn, a big nuisance on LinkedIn, and I like to think of myself as pre-successful. Not pretty successful, I mean pre-successful. Like one day I'll be successful, just not there yet.
And what does success mean to you if you feel that you're pre-successful?
Oh man, this is so easy. I will do the work I want with the people I want to work with in the hours that I choose to work from anywhere I choose to work. And that's success for me. It still involves work, funnily enough. A lot of people think success is like getting the yacht and just not working ever again. But I think that is true when you don't like the work you're doing. I love my work. I never want to stop. Like literally you'll drag me out of my office on a stretcher into the grave because it's something I really love doing. And so I don't see my future or my success without there being some work.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. Is it? Is that sad?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if it's the reason why I don't think it's sad is because fulfillment is not just, I guess, having money and everything, but like something that you're working towards, a mission that you're going for, and something you would want to accomplish.
Yeah. I think it also comes to there's this expectation in our society that life is hard and then you retire and then life gets easy. But I don't see why that has to be true. Why does life have to just be hard and then by the time you're old enough to enjoy it, you're too old to enjoy it? Like you don't have the energy of your youth. You don't have the curiosity of your youth. All you've got is tiredness and entitlement and expectation. And I'd rather do all that on the way to retirement. So then you're not it's like a delayed gratification that doesn't have to be there. There can be enjoyment in life on the way, especially if you really enjoy what you're doing. Like I seriously, I travel every month and it's not because I'm like super successful. It's because I've designed my life to do that because I don't see the point of saving up all my travel until I'm 65, 70, 75 years old. Can't walk, can't eat anything because my stomach's a mess. And like people going on cruises when they're like 70 years old, and the minute they get on the cruise, they just get sick and they die because they've just had so much tension and stress all their lives that when they finally stop, it's like they crumble. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like a very long answer.
But that's a very solid answer because I feel like no one who's here would want to be that guy, or no one who's watching would want to be that guy.
And I don't think in today's world you need to be that person. I think in the Industrial Revolution, that was what we did. Like we went from being small family groups in an agrarian setting where we were working together. Our work was literally to survive. We grew food for ourselves and for the people around us. In the Industrial Revolution, there came that repetitive work, which was, I just work the loom, I just walk the carpets, I just do this one thing for my entire life. Whether I like it or whether I don't is completely irrelevant because there is no choice. We live in the internet time. Like pretty much no one in this room at the moment or listening to this podcast possibly remembers a time before the internet. Like I do. That's why I got grey in my beard, because I remember that there was a time before the internet where there weren't as many choices, there weren't as many options, there weren't, we had 4 television channels in Australia, and that was where truth came from. 4 television channels and maybe 6 or 7 radio stations in a major capital city. Now that's millions of channels that you have to choose from, and that's just for entertainment. Then there's the learning opportunities. We don't have to have that same setup. It's not the work for 30 years, retire, get the gold watch and die. We don't really have that same setup. We have options now.
Cool. And how can one begin finding those options that exist? Like, let's say I'm a complete beginner. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and I was hoping that this is what my life would be, that I would work for 30 years, retire, get a gold watch and die. But let's say that that's not what I want to do anymore after listening to what you just said. What should I do now?
It's a matter of being curious and trying everything you possibly can. Because if you, like, I don't expect anyone at 19, 20, even 25 or 30 years old to know what they want to do with their lives. Because of the range of options you've got, even in one area, so let's say engineering, for instance, you can become a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, but then there's all the subsets of different things you can do as well. There's never just this one thing you become. It's like an accountant, accountant, what can they do? Oh, they do accounting. Well, there's tax accounting, there's forensic accounting. There's also accounting for entrepreneurs, accounting for podcasters, for YouTubers, for influencers. There's so many different niches you can get into. But first, you need to explore what options are out there. And you only do that by exposing yourself to them. So as I said, with the internet economy now, you've got YouTube, man. You've got TikTok. It brings everything in. So you've got all these options, and you find the thing that appeals to you. And when you're young, and I still class myself as fairly young, even though I'm not, it doesn't matter if any of those options lead to your grand outcome, because we don't live in that gold watch earning 30-year career time anymore. We live in a time where you can jump, and it's almost expected that you do. You know, I would look maybe at somebody these days who has only one job over the last 10 years and think, what's wrong with them? Are they that unemployable? Whereas I expect people to come maybe for a year, maybe for 3 years tops in what is a permanent role, because they will outgrow the company. So usually companies don't outgrow people, people outgrow companies. And we don't have to, like we're in what 4% unemployment in Australia, and the 4% that are unemployed almost by choice. They don't have to work, or they don't want to work. So in this economy, this setup we've got, we don't even talk about AI and how that's going to impact it, but in this current setup that we've got, you have the choice to move around. You don't have to put up with toxic workplaces. You don't have to put up with workplaces and companies that don't align with your values. You don't have to work for a deliberately unsustainable or environmentally destructive company if you don't want to. You can choose to work with someone else. There is almost limitless opportunities. I think in Darwin, we sometimes think we have to work for this company because that's the only company that has the government contracts. Darwin is like such a small place. It has an outsized influence for the size that it has, but the Northern Territory represents 1% of Australia's population. It's tiny, tiny little percentage. But then Australia is tiny in comparison to the rest of the world. They're less than 1% of the population of the planet. So when you start to look at the potential that's out there, it's limitless the options you have to jump around and to work. That's a lot.
Yes.
I don't think this is one of those podcasts where your guest is ever going to just struggle to answer questions. I could talk.
So essentially, in today's world, I can do whatever I want, wherever I want, and with whoever I want to.
Yeah, if the company says that you can't work remote and it's important to you to work remote, stuff them, go work somewhere that does. If the company says, hey, you can't have a personal brand and be active on TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram because you must be part of our... just leave them, go to somewhere that does. You've got time. It's like amazing how much time you've got. Like at what, 20 years old?
Yes.
You've got so much time. It's so early. And you've got time to make mistakes. You've got time to make bad career decisions. Like I've made epically terrible career decisions before. I was a doctor, man. And then I just decided not to be. And people would say that's the most epically bad thing I could do. But I have the best life. And I would not have had that if I had stuck with what I had thought was expected of me. Mm-hmm. So there's chances to make mistakes. And I think that's from a migrant perspective, and I'm clearly not a migrant, like look at me, listen to me, but it's, I'm like one step away from bogan. If I could have had a mullet, I probably would, okay? So, but from the migrant's perspective, I think there's an expectation that you've put so much effort and so much time and so much hardship into just getting here. Parents have had to put so much together, and all of you have had this input from your lives and some expectation that there is an outcome you have to achieve, whether it's becoming an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or a scientist, or whatever that expectation was. But now you're here. There's all these other options available to you. So you don't have to go down that one path. You can still be successful, but the success may not be a title. It may be a feeling.
A feeling, yes.
It may be a vibe. Like, you know, I drive a shitty car. Like it's terrible. Like the door handle is broken. To get into my car, I have to go around to the passenger side, open that side, crawl through, open the door, push it out, which in a really small car park can be a challenge because you've think you're going to break the next car. And I look at that and go, yeah, I don't care. I get to travel every month interstate to go somewhere. So instead of the fancy car with, well, not fancy, just the door that opens, but instead of a car that's functional, I've got monthly travel. Like next month, 3 monthly travels. And okay, well, what am I missing really? Oh, by the way, my car hasn't got air conditioning at the moment either, but that's a whole other story. 5-minute commute, I don't need it.
That is hilarious. In the LinkedIn post and some of the social media posts, I did put the same link for the QR code for people to put in questions. We will be going through those questions, but since we were talking about finding what to do and like switching careers and all that stuff, I actually have particular examples from people.
Yeah.
So maybe we can go a little more deeper in those. As a young person, I'm lost. I'm here because of my visa requirements. I'm doing a course that I don't really want to do. What should I do now?
Start doing what you want to do outside of your course. So you have to do the course to fulfill your visa requirements. You have to be in Darwin. It might not have been the dream location, and I get it. When I first got here as well in 2003 was not my dream location. I stepped off the flight, walked outside on November 23, 2003, and I went, what have I done? What is this? and it's like the humidity it just came raining down upon me. And then it started raining so hard. And then we're driving down Bagot Road. And so the entry statement to Darwin was big wire fences down the length of an entire main road. And I was like, what is this place? What is this? Am I in another country? And I get it, it's not the dream location for everybody, but what it is a place that gives you room and space to try things. And the main thing is with you doing study is that, yeah, you got to study and you got to do work. There has to be a little bit of hustle in here, which is find the thing you want to either study or try outside of that. So it just means that instead of watching TV or watching YouTube or watching TikTok, you may have to do something else. And that's where you find your passion isn't in your course, because you won't find it there, because you're doing that because somebody said you should do that, or that it will be a good career path. And that's fine, do that. Like I studied for 8-9 years to be a doctor and then didn't use it. So there's still room to make those mistakes, but I would say watch a lot of YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. I don't mean the rubbish. Like I posted about this just this morning, is that if you're someone who's building a career or you're building a business or you're building a life that's not going to be ordinary, you don't have the luxury on social media that the 99% of people do. 99% of people, they use social media as entertainment. You use social media as a way to break free of the trap that you're in. You use it to educate yourself. You use it to learn, to grow, to get curious about different things. That's where you'll find the thing you should be doing. So when your parents are questioning, well, why aren't you now an engineer? Why aren't you now a doctor? Why aren't you now a lawyer? And you've done your course and you've finished your studies, you can say, but look what I have done. I'm now making money through this. I'm now able to do that. Just a migrant guy here in Darwin just bought his parents brand new cars in Pakistan and delivered them to his community. Now, they might say, oh, you're a failure because you have not worked in the thing you studied. I'm like, yeah, but he still delivered cars to his hometown in Pakistan. That's a success.
Yep.
Not that he just finished his degree and got a job doing it. So if you're lost, you're young, you have so many years ahead of you. And it feels like you don't because of this phenomenon where if you've only lived 20 years of your life, then a year of your life feels like an eternity, because that's 1/20th of your life. For a 50-year-old, it's only 1/50th. It's only a tiny slice. But at 1/20th, it feels like an eternity. You have so much more to go. And even if you stuff it up at 20, you've got till 30. If you stuff it up by 30, you've got till 40, 50, 60. We're living till over 100 years old. The average lifespan is getting more and more and more. Not white people, we're getting less and less because we're just terrible diets and the things we do. But you guys will be fine.
So if you're stuck
the bottom line is that you go and look out for things that you really like, you really want to do
Get
on
curious.
the side.
Get curious. And that's curiosity is one of the great values of life. You get curious about what's possible. You see someone's rich and you go, I want a life like theirs. Well, get curious about how they got rich. Did they do crypto? Did they build a business? Did they do a side gig? Did they, manage to organize a whole bunch of other students together to do home deliveries of furniture? What was it that they did? Explore those people. There's a million gurus on LinkedIn and YouTube who've got ways for you to get rich. But if rich is not the thing, maybe it's a spiritual journey. Well, think about that, right? Who are the great spiritual leaders you've come across? Get curious about them, explore those different things. Because you won't find the thing you're looking for just by sitting there doing the thing you're doing now. If what you're doing now isn't working, then just sitting there doing that won't change anything. It just continues to reinforce where you're at. You get stuck. And if you're 20, 25, under 30, and you're stuck now, you're in the best possible place to get unstuck because your brain still has plenty of neuroplasticity, you still have plenty of wonder and curiosity about the world. You get to my age, and most people my age have lost all that curiosity. They've done all the great things they're ever going to do. They feel like they're on a decline. You don't have that problem. You're at the one point of life where you have so much that you can do, so much you can try, and there's so much support, like unusual amount of support around you. And that's a very Northern Territory thing. There's a lot of support around you to help you pick up from where you may have dropped the ball, or there's friends around you, a community around you who's ready to lift you up.
Okay, from here, I want to share one thing that I did recently on my LinkedIn. You have seen me, I'm doing random stuff all over the place. Might be a little bit of your influence, but so one of the things I tried was a newsletter, and I published a funny article about how learning is not the way that it used to be earlier. It's not, you don't have to buy a course, you don't have to get anything formal or pay someone to learn something. And that's kind of how, because this is just my personal reflection, where I have the 4 things that I've used is firstly Google, look up anything, ChatGPT, absolutely any question I have, and anything that's not on ChatGPT, it's always on YouTube. So they kind of complement each other in the perfect way. And finally, the funniest one is Instagram, where I just started scrolling at the stuff that I really wanted to watch. And then I have videos of people doing funny edits, people doing specific stuff that I want to learn, cool things with AI, how they're building AI agents and stuff. So yes, this is just want to add that out as a perspective of learning, that it's not we don't have to pay for anything anymore. It's not restricted. Knowledge is so much more freer than it used to be before.
Knowledge is commoditized. Knowledge is cheap. I don't know if I trust a doctor or a surgeon who self-studied on YouTube to go and do brain surgery on me. Or I wouldn't want to be I'm pretty sure Elon Musk would prefer his rocket scientists to actually be rocket scientists, not just garage guys who blow up fireworks. But there's certain things, particularly in the arts, anything that's to do with writing, anything to do engineering, for instance. There's so much in there. There's just knowledge that gets passed down, and then new trends that come in. I studied marketing. I did a Bachelor of Marketing in, I think it's about 2014. I did it. The workplace I was with told me to go and get a degree because they thought that would keep me interested in working there. All it did was make me want to go and do other things. But when they pay for that, this is 2014, right? So by then social media is nearly 10 years old. So it'd been around for about 10 years. There was not a single mention of either digital marketing or anything to do with social media or even AdWords with Google in that degree. And that was 2014. Last year, I met a marketing professor, a professor of marketing. I won't name and I won't say what university they're from. It wasn't here. Who had never done any marketing. This person had a PhD in marketing, was considered to be a nationwide expert in marketing, but the one piece of marketing he'd ever done was designing the menu for his brother's Indian restaurant. That's the problem. Was come on, man, this is crazy. So the beautiful thing is that knowledge is so cheap right now. It's the cheapest it's ever been. And yet we're more lost than we've ever been. Like, what do I do with my life? Oh my God, it's like walking into the peanut butter aisle of Woolworths, right? And they've got 50 different varieties of peanut butter and you don't know which one to choose. What a great luxury to have, 50 different peanut butters. And yet you can't find which one to choose. And that's what YouTube's like. That's what courses are like online. There's just so much infinite variety, it's almost impossible to choose it. And that's when the guide steps in. That's when somebody who has gone and tested out 50 different peanut butters becomes the real person who can advise you on the best peanut butter to choose. Nothing to do with peanut butter, but they can show you through the work they've done over their lifetime or even over the last year when they've dedicated themselves to learning about one particular thing. They go, avoid that course. This course is great, but it'll only take you so far. Once you've done that one, come over and do this one. And that customized learning pattern. I think that's been the holy grail of teaching and learning for quite some time, is how do we contextualize learning for that one individual person rather than for an average and a bell curve. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have the opportunity to do now. So whilst university will teach you how to think, how to write, how to learn, you still have to go and do that. So I think that takes us back to before, like if you're lost and you're 20 years old, how do you get unlost? You get curious. And then you go down rabbit holes, and they're amazing. But don't do it alone. Find a guide, find a mentor, even just a friend who you can share those things with. If you go too deep down a particular hole, they'll be able to sort of drag you back out again, or at least can sort of prompt you and say, hey man, you're getting a bit weird. Okay, you might want to pull back a little bit.
And how do you find that guide or mentor?
Oh, like I'll get all like spiritual here, but that you find each other. I think you find each other through circumstances. You and I have had some offline conversations about how sometimes when you step into the thing you should be doing or the thing that really sets your heart on fire, how things just line up. People just show up. You know, and I've had a bit of that recently. Up until recently, I did not have a coach of my own. And then I spoke at a conference on a panel, and I was very opinionated, more opinionated than I ever was before in any other speech I've ever given. I was super opinionated, a little bit controversial. I had a few spicy takes on the state of Darwin and its future as a city. And in that audience was somebody who owns a very successful coaching business. And she said to her offsider, he's one of us. We should get in touch with him. And now I've got a coach. And the beautiful thing is this coach with a successful portfolio of people all over the world doesn't charge me a cent. I don't even pay for this person. And I'm like, but I was ready. I was in that right place, that right frame of mind. And I think that's what it is. There's an element of, you can't see 5 steps ahead of you, but you can see 1 step ahead of you. So you take that 1 step, and then the next step becomes clear, and the next step becomes clear. But you can't do that and step into that without taking the first step. So it's almost you have to step forward first and then just have some kind of faith or some kind of belief that the next step will be safe and the next step will be safe and that people will step in when they need to. And that's been a money thing, like a massive money mindset for me, is that funnily enough, when I need it the most, money seems to show up. Like another contract just lands. I haven't had to apply for jobs since 2003. The last job I applied for, I was a phone interview that lasted 5 minutes, and they said, well, when can you get here? And I said, Monday. This was on Saturday. I didn't know what flights were like to Darwin, so I soon learned. Yeah, okay, sure, I'll be there on Monday. And I turned up on Monday and started the job, and I haven't had an interview since, because every time one job comes to an end, it's like another one said, hey, can you come work for us? Hey, can you work for us? Hey, have you got capacity to do this? So just when I think I'm just going to run out of money, then I don't. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Cool. So just like you want people to just start taking those steps, and once you start taking steps, things would start falling into place where you have things happening.
That's been my experience. I don't know if that's a universal truth. I don't know if that happens for everybody, and it could be a very white, Western, middle-aged, male privileged thing to say that yes, those doors have been open to me, but I've also watched plenty of people who don't look like me, who haven't had my life. When they do step out with that confidence, that it does tend to just work. Not all the time. Sometimes it's epic. You'll fall over and you'll just completely run out of money and you go, Mom, Dad, can I please have some money? Or you have to borrow money off friends, or you have to use Afterpay or Zip or something like that. But the average over your lifetime is a net positive. It's just a fact of life that as you go along, you accumulate more experience, you accumulate more wealth, you get paid more as you get older as well, which is a sweet thing that you've got to look forward to. And things do come into place. Yeah. There's a lot of hope there.
Mm-hmm. Similar to that question, I had another question where the person who put in the question literally just put, I'm following what my parents told me. And that was it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've touched on it, but like just to solidify it, if you have anything more to add on to that.
Yeah. I followed what my parents told me to do.
Yes.
So my parents told me not to go and study medicine. They knew me well enough to know that this was not going to be a good place for me because I'm not very obedient. I'm a little bit rebellious. So I tend to not very good for medicine. You need to follow the rules and do the right thing. Now, I didn't kill anybody as a doctor, but what I did do was I questioned everything and always got into trouble. And I was never going to get anywhere because in the medical profession, like in any profession, engineering especially, you know, there's a pecking order, there's a hierarchy, and you have to follow the hierarchy. And I just wouldn't, and I was never going to get anywhere because of that. But my parents initially said, don't do this, man. My problem was I was rebellious. So my parents say, don't do it. What am I going to do? I'm going to do it. If they say, you know, well, maybe you should study something that's more, you know, interesting to you, go into the arts, go into drama. Like my parents, well, these are the same parents that named me Dante and James, so they're probably okay with that kind of thing. But it was, I think they, a bit too much of that in the 60s. But the point being is that the more that they told me to do things, the more that I didn't want to do those things. I had to find my own path. So I don't know whether sometimes our parents tell us to do things because they really want us to do those things, or whether they do it because they can see something in us that is either indecisive and it scares them that you're indecisive. So they, well, here's a path. But because of Indian and South Asian culture, it comes across very harsh as you must, rather than here's a path. Or they can see that you're not going to do it anyway, and they're kind of trying to nudge you towards something you hate so that you'll do something yourself and kick you into action. And that's, I guess, where mentorship comes in. When your parents are your mentors, basically. Aunties and uncles maybe, but it's mostly your parents.
Probably not. Aunties and uncles, stay away from them.
Yeah, okay. Aunties and uncles, they're the ones who send you in the bad directions, right?
You know, it's like always the idea of comparison. Like, I'm not going to say it because of my family, because I don't know if anyone's going to be watching
Just
this.
say that you have a friend and this is
Yes,
this is
I
theirs.
have a friend, and their uncle and aunties are like very, I guess, opinionated and comparative with their own kids. And you have those like aspects of, oh, but my son has done medicine. Why don't you do medicine? Oh, but like, it's just the stupid vibe of like, you know, comparison.
Yeah.
But
I think every culture has that. We just don't tend to know our aunties and uncles very well because, you know, they always have like a fight when you're young, and then you just suddenly don't see those relatives anymore. They're never heard of. And I think where it comes together for somebody who really has a lot of pressure from their parents to do a certain thing is that ultimately they're not here. You are. It's not their life. It's your life. And again, I understand that this is a really white thing to say, but the reality is they don't have to live your life. They are not having your children. They are not your wife or your husband or your future partner. They are not the one who has to step in there. They may benefit from the things you do, but they're only speaking from their own experience. They tell you to do that because their parents told them to do that, and their parents told them to do that. It's just repeating a pattern over and over and over. And sure, you can be the person who repeats that pattern and follows that path as well. There is nothing wrong with that path. Following your parents' footsteps, unless they're axe murderers, is not a bad thing. They're probably really good people with really good intentions and have done great. They had you, right? So they can't be that bad. But at the same time, you also have the future, the ability to be a circuit breaker in that. You don't have to be the continuation of that line. You can be the circuit breaker that goes into another direction. And then you have you have the power then to tell your kids what you think that they should do. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll pass on that rebellious nature to them as well. I think my father gave me my rebellious nature. Even though he appears to be a very law-abiding citizen, he's a guy who got a government job when I was very young, and they were asking more and more and more time from him to become a bigger supervisor, a bigger manager. And he one day just said, no, I'm not going to do that because I want to spend more time with my kids. I didn't know that until I was an adult and I had a conversation with my mum. And I thought my dad was just this strict disciplinarian. No, my dad was a rebel. He would just tell people to get out of his life. He would kick people out of his life who were really negative. He was highly defensive of his kids. If anyone gave his kids problems, he was straight over. I didn't know any of this. He'd go straight over to their parents' places and tell them off. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, I'm turning into you. So if your parents had told you to do this certain thing and you're doing this certain thing, your parents are a voice on a phone call now. They're not here. So what are they going to do? Disown you? Of course they won't. You're still their kid. But just because you're not the engineer or the doctor or the lawyer that they wanted you to be, they still have love for you. And you're still sending money home to them so they can shut up.
When did you start your medicine? How old were you?
Oh, straight out of high school.
Straight out of high school.
So I was 17 years old.
And did your parents have an opinion of what you would have done instead of doing medicine?
No, my parents, and this is all value to them, this is such an Aussie thing, right? They actually did not have any expectation of what I should be. All they wanted me to do was to finish what I started, because I was really bad at that, and still am, still terrible at it. Starting things, not finishing them. That's why I now hire people to do the finishing for me, because it's just easier. I don't have the attention span for it. But they were always, you need to do what makes you happy. And I always remember from my dad particularly, when I'd say, oh, well, Jason and Janine, they're doing this, so I should do this. And he'd say, well, if Jason and Janine decide to jump off the Sydney Harbour Bridge, does that mean you should? I was like, no. So my dad always taught me to question everything. And I didn't, again, realise the value of that until I was older. And I was able to realise, oh, my dad was teaching me to think differently, to think for myself, not to think with the crowd. And these days, my dad's watching Sky News and just like thinking the world's a mess and that Trump's amazing and like, oh, wow, where'd that guy go? He's now turned into someone who watches the news and thinks it's real.
Yeah. And after medicine, what did you do? Like, what was the point where you realized, oh, I don't want to do this? And where did that trajectory go? And when you were doing medicine, was there anything else that you did?
There's two things. So there's one when I was doing a placement. My first placement was on the Tiwi Islands, just north of Darwin. I was from Sydney at the time. I studied in Sydney. So going there was like, again, this rebellious thing. I wanted to go like way further than anybody in my class had gone. I wanted to do the most extreme thing. So I did. So a 6-month placement. I was under supervision in a place called Millikapati. And in that place, I was under supervision of a senior medical staff, right? They left 2 months into my placement and I had no replacement come to help me. So 2 months into that, I had another 4 months to go. I wasn't even fully qualified to be a doctor yet I was stitching up spear wounds in legs. I was delivering babies. I was dealing with like crossbows going through people's arms. I was airlifting people out to Darwin Hospital, which I'd never been to Darwin Hospital myself, but I was on radios trying to connect with like emergency airlifts, and it was crazy. Like, what the heck is this? Like, what am I doing? And after that trauma, I went on and then graduated and then was admitted to the Royal College of Australian General Practitioners and became a general practitioner, but I worked specifically in psychiatric medicine. So when I first got my first role in psychiatric medicine, that's when I saw that there was a system and there was a process, and it kind of has to be, I guess, particularly when you're dealing with mental health. But this was at the extreme end of mental health. So I didn't see any lobotomies being performed, but I did sit in on 2 electroconvulsive therapy sessions, so electroshock therapy. I saw that it actually did help the person who was involved in it. It didn't fix their problems, but it made them able to function. And then what else am I doing here to help people to function? Am I helping people, or am I just medicating people? And I came to the conclusion that my job was to approve medications to be administered, not even by me. I wasn't doing any of the injections. There was nursing staff who would do that. So what I was doing was reading charts and going, well, they've come off this medicine, they're going into this medicine, they've had this behavior, more drugs. And I looked at it and went, can I do this for the rest of my life? Now, a normal person in medicine would say, sure, you don't want to do that. Try pediatrics, try being a dermatologist, try going into, I don't know, cardiothoracic medicine or something like that. I chose to drop all of that. And I just went, nah, I'm out of all medicine. I'm going to go and get a job in a pub and pull beers because I didn't want to think. I didn't want to deal with, I guess I was at the end of pubs are where some of these problems start. There are people developing addictions and that. I just didn't want to think anymore. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be responsible for somebody's quality of life. And so I went the extreme opposite. And that was my rejection, I guess, rebelliousness against choices that I'd made. And that's how I ended up in pubs. And then when I met someone in a pub who said, hey, you got a really nice voice, you'd be really good in a call center. This is back when call centers were actually in Australia. Back when we actually had calls, and you had to wear a suit into a call center. It was crazy. But this is, I got my first job in a call center after that. Mm-hmm. And after that, I became very good at being able to talk people through technical concepts over the phone. And then I got into a technical support role, and then I got into a system support role, into IT, essentially. I got moved over in IT, and from there I went from one company to the next company to the next company. And then I rebelled against that because I hated technology. For someone who's on LinkedIn every day, that's funny. But I hated technology at the time, so I thought it was going to cause the downfall of humanity. I got really rebellious against it, so I went to Bible college for a year, and while I was still working in a call center, and then threw it all in 1999 and volunteered for a Christian radio station on the Gold Coast. Now, the thing with that, this is going off in a total tangent here, is that they didn't tell me that you're supposed to be a Christian to work there. I didn't tell them that I wasn't Christian, but we didn't ask each other.
Yep.
So we just went along our merry ways and just went, okay. And then one day they was like, so what church is it you go to? And I'm like, the Church of the God thing? I don't know. They found out I basically wasn't a church-going Christian. And that, amongst other things, including somebody spotting me on a gay hookup site, probably wasn't very helpful to my career aspirations in Christian broadcasting. But that was the end of that part. But that brought me to Darwin. And in 2003, I got my first commercial radio gig on Hot 100 here in Darwin. And I was writing ads and doing fill-in announcing. And within, like everything in Darwin, like you stick around long enough, you probably run the place. And so I stuck around for a year and then was on the breakfast radio show, doing breakfast radio on Hot 100 in 2004, 5, 6. And then everything else happened. And then it was back in 2008 then. The radio network I was with, who owned that station, discovered that I knew how to build websites, but nobody else in the network did. So then they said, well, you're actually more valuable to us as a web developer than you are as a radio announcer. So you're doing that now. I went, yeah, okay, cool. Came with a pay rise. I didn't care. I got to work from home. That was even better. And then that sort of brings us into the rise of social media. So 2007, 2008, 2009, Facebook really took off. Instagram started coming in around about 2010. And then I was kind of at the beginning of all that and teaching a big radio network full of staff and stars how to use social media to expand what they were doing. And we were kind of the first to do that in Australia. And then the others all hopped on it as well. And then television discovered Twitter and they discovered Facebook as well. And then it became, I guess I was a bit of a pioneer in that. I'll never be credited as it. And there's no book going to be written about me doing that. But I do remember we were the first radio station to produce a podcast. And that was like 2008, back when podcasting was like new.
Very new, yeah. And when did your businesses start?
Oh, my first business was in year 9 in high school.
I know about it, but yeah.
You know this story, right?
Yes,
You've seen this, yeah. So my first business was basically going to the school tuck shop, the canteen, and buying 20 apple pies. I don't know how they let me do that, but they did. No one ever questioned. I'd buy 20 apple pies and I put them in my locker, and then I'd sell them at a 50-cent markup at recess because all these kids wanted apple pies, but I bought them all. So I was selling them all. So like back then they were about like, I don't know, $1. And so I was selling it for $1.50. Now, mind you, in winter that was fine because it was cold and the pies were relatively well preserved.
Yep.
I don't know what state those pies were in summer. It was a little bit different. But I had a competitor, and this is my first competitor that I ever had, did the same with the custard tarts. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a custard tart, right? They're okay, they're nice when they're cold and they're fresh. But when they've been sitting in a locker for 2 hours in summer, yeah, not great. and there started to be a bit of a food poisoning problem, and that's when we both got dobbed in. I think I didn't dob him in. I don't know if he dobbed me in, but someone dobbed us both in, and we got in trouble and were told no longer to operate our special little businesses. But that didn't stop me. I did other things. I sold like candy and I sold like things out of my locker.
The rebellious nature.
Pretty much. They told me I couldn't do it, so I just found ways of doing it without them knowing. I was basically running a candy black market from my locker. And this is back when you could sell candy in schools. Now that it's like no candy. It's all fruit and vegetables and stuff like that. No, I was selling, man, all the worst Whiz Fizz. And they used to have these like pretend cigarettes that were candy, and you could just like walk around pretending you're smoking. It was like back when that wasn't a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I sold tons of those. They were so popular because no one was asking where they came from. I just got them from like the supermarket without my mum knowing.
So would it be fair to say that rebellious nature is one thing that's always been inside.
Yeah.
How about the spirit of entrepreneurship and like selling and doing and tweaking the system, and like, how about that? How long has that been in you for?
I don't remember a time when I didn't question everything. So if someone said stop, to me it wasn't stop, it was I just need to find a way around that. So I think that's where the entrepreneurship comes in, is where if there's a change, what do you do next? And a lot of people think a change is disastrous. It's going to bring everything down. And I think we're approaching this with AI. It's getting to a point where there's already thousands of jobs are now affected. It will be millions of jobs before we know it. And the world will change in ways we can't even imagine. And there will be a net positive in this. It's going to be a great thing for our future as a species. It's just not going to feel like that for maybe the next 10 to 20 years. But with that, the entrepreneur looks at that obstacle and says, okay, that's there. I can't change the obstacle, but what can I do to either go above it, below it, around it, or do I reframe that obstacle and call it a feature? And that's what I've been always able to do, is to go and say, well, if I can't use this technology, what can I do with that technology to do something else? And I think that's something like Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA.
Yep.
He's very much about that. He'll look at it and go, okay, here's something I'm going to do. It's everybody and my shareholders and my greatest advisors tell me I should not do this, but I'm going to do it because I think I've got a better idea. It might take 5 or 10 years for this to pay off, but it's going to do it. And now NVIDIA is the greatest producer of AI chips that there's no one even close to it now. And it all came from the fact that he decided to follow, he had an obstacle put in his path, which was profitability and profit margins. And to use those chips the way that they were designed, which was to do things like low-level research gaming rendering and graphics rendering. and saying, well, that's great, but at some point we need to go to the next thing. So how do we, and then the shareholders will say, no, keep spending money on the gaming. That's where all the money is. And he's like, but we need to go somewhere else as well. And that's the innovator's dilemma. And I suppose that's what I've always been able to do, is look at that and go, there's an obstacle, there's a problem. How do I get through that problem? Usually with the resources I've got, or is there something that I can see that nobody else is using that I can get to be the first to use it and get ahead? That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. And after the candy business, what was the next business?
The next business was 2008 was probably the first, not even serious business, but it was kind of a necessity. I was asked by a magazine, I was living in Tasmania at the time, and I was asked by a magazine to write some stories for their magazine from Tasmania. So can you give us the Tasmanian perspective on this particular niche that our magazine covers? And I'm like, oh, what do I do with that? And they said, you've got to get an ABN. I was like, okay, I'll go get an ABN. So, and I've still got the same ABN. And I started writing for them, and that became, oh, can you also write for this other magazine we own? Oh, can you also write for Gourmet Traveller? Can you also write for this magazine? I found I was writing a lot, and that became a business. And then, because I was in that sort of realm of going, well, how can I make this faster and easier? And we didn't have ChatGPT to do it all for us. So I had to go, well, what else can I do? Because I can only put so much time into this. What's the next thing I can do? And I noticed that because I was still working with radio at the time and with television, that there was a real problem with people being able to make ads for television. That it was really expensive and really over the top, and the equipment and a team of 5 people having to come and record you say, hey, this month you'll save up to 10% off. And I thought there's got to be a cheaper, easier way to do that. So I found like free software online, which is nothing like now where you got like DaVinci and all that. I just found like, I think it was called Power Director, and it was free. Well, actually it wasn't free, but I got a pirated version of it and downloaded that and learned how to use it, and then just used like a really basic video camera, and started recording people talking. They realized the audio was crap, so I had to sort of jerry rig up like a little microphone like this, but it was like, 2008 version of that. And I was making television ads, but like at about 10% of the cost that anyone else was able to do it. And that got me a good market share, but I didn't know how to run a business. So I didn't understand tax. I didn't understand that sometimes you have to do things to actually make money, not just because it's fun. And so I kind of went bankrupt, actually bankrupted myself, because I was running this business to a point where I wasn't paying any tax. And then I did my tax returns, like, oh, you now owe us $25,000. Like, oh my God, what? And I was like, but I've spent all my money that I make on equipment and all that. And then I didn't understand tax deductions or anything. So I got a very quick education in all that. The next year I made it all, but all back, and I was able to pay it off. And I came out of my bankruptcy, I think, was it 3 years later? Learned a great deal of lessons about the fact that you cannot ignore tax. You can't ignore the fundamentals of running a business. I was vibe businessing, it was like, you vibe code these days. Yep. I was doing business by vibe. I thought, had this sunny attitude that everything's going to go well because I'm going to make so much money that I can make all my problems go away. And that was not the case at all. That was a really quick education. So that was probably the first serious failure. I had probably a series of failures after that, because I then rebirthed that creative agency to make television ads again. Didn't go bankrupt this time, but I kind of got out of it a lot earlier. So I went, do I really want to do this? Do I enjoy this? Is this fun? And I realized it wasn't. I was just doing it because it was a gap. And then by then, like, technology had changed, and my little Power Director wasn't as good as someone using Adobe, and they were all able to do it at the same price as I was able to do it. So I kind of got priced out, and I went, yeah, that'll do. So I started making websites instead, because I had ways of doing that that were faster than most other people, until WordPress happened, and that kind of wiped that out. So then, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next?
So it's been like you starting something happening, and then there's a barrier, work around it, and it just keeps happening in that loop.
Yeah. And you find that you're, at least you're experiences in the past have taught you that yes, failure will happen and hardships are hard, but you don't die. Like just because you lose money, like bankruptcy is this thing that everyone's terrified of. Oh my God, don't become bankrupt. You'll never be able to buy a house. You'll never be able to live. You can't go anywhere. And I'm like, man, like I know people have been bankrupt 3 times and they're doing fine. And I've been bankrupt once, and it's the best thing that happened to me because it taught me that you don't die because you lose money. Like, not in this country, at least. In this country, there's so many safety nets. There's so many opportunities you can pick up. You just got to be willing to be adaptable and know that, okay, I've been doing this one thing all this time. I can't do this anymore. Oh, I'll try something else. Yeah. But the first really big failure I had, and I lost over $150,000 on this, was in 2016, so not that long ago. And I started up a tech startup. I just got my redundancy payout from that radio network. So I came out with about $150,000 redundancy payout. It was awesome. Now, a smart person would go and get another job, and then you've got this big bank of savings and you can buy a house, right? I'm not that guy. I decided I'm going to do a startup. Now, again, my only experience with business has been failures, or except, maybe selling apple pies from a locker in high school. And I sort of went forward and went, well, with my sunny disposition, I'm going to make this work. And so I designed a platform. It's kind of like Flybys and Woolworths Rewards, but for little businesses. So you get all these businesses networked together, and they all contribute with goods that you can take and agree to a discounting system based upon points that are accumulated in their network. It was awesome. It was a great tool. I built it myself, coded it myself, no vibe coding, just coded it. And it was really, really good. Released in a place called Lismore in New South Wales. So I bought 50 iPads. We had 25 participants. So I went, okay, put 25 iPads, and iPads were still pretty new back then. Put them in the stores and put the app on there to be able to handle it and see what happens and see if these pilot retailers could make this thing work. Didn't go that well. In fact, what happened was a gang of kids broke into all 25 shops, smashed their windows and stole the iPads.
Oh,
so
my God.
I was single-handedly responsible for a crime wave in Lismore, New South Wales.
Oh my God.
Which is hilarious. Not hilarious at the time, it was actually terrifying. And I'm sure, I didn't live in Lismore, I lived on the Gold Coast at the time. And so with that in mind, I went, well, that didn't work. And I went to sort of collect any bits and pieces after that experience and said, look, this wasn't the thing that was going to help you, Mr. Retailer, with your business. What do you think could help? What are the things you really do need? And that's where I learned you don't just go into business and do something just because you think it's a good idea. You have to do research. You have to ask people whether they actually need that thing. They didn't need that app. They didn't need a loyalty program. What they needed was someone who could help them out with building a website, with connecting their printer, with being someone they could call when they didn't understand technology, someone who could talk them through this new Facebook thing that they couldn't get their heads around, and what's this Instagram-ish thing, and helping them with that. And that's when I built a digital agency. And that was my first really successful business. And that took me up to 2022. When I sold the digital agency client list off, and that helped me to buy my first cafe, which is now 3 cafes and 5 menswear stores. So it happened very quickly since 2022.
And where are these cafes?
In North Queensland. So I've got one in Innisfail, one in the southern suburbs of Cairns, and one in Port Douglas. And the menswear stores, funnily enough, here's the irony of how the universe has a really good big sense of humour. My menswear store in Lismore, New South Wales, was one of the ones that I did the pilot test with that had its window smashed. I now own that store. So I went from being the biggest enemy of retail to now I'm this little hero in Lismore who's come and saved a struggling store. And just the irony that the universe will it definitely has a sense of humour. So if there's a God totally laughed at that one.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's a roller coaster journey.
It is quite a bit.
And I still drive a really shitty car. They valued, like, the bank has valued my business assets now at like nearly $2.5 million. And I still drive a 2011 Holden Barina with no front door handle, no air conditioning. I have really weird priorities.
Oh yeah. When you failed, when you had all those things happen, we've touched on this, but I want to go deeper. Because, like, what did failure mean to you when it actually happened versus now, like when you look back at it? Or if you would fail at something now, what would be the comparison between your thinking in those two aspects?
It hurt. It did hurt. It hurt my ego. Because I'm the guy who thought that anything I could do would work. Anything I could do would be successful. Everything I could do would be fun and amazing, and I'd have this amazing life. And I always thought I would be the exception to the rule, where everyone else would fail. I'd be the guy who'd succeed just because I'd just positive think my way through it. Mm-hmm. So it would hurt because it would tell me that, oh, everyone else is right and you're wrong. Okay, what does that mean? And I suppose that's where you go, well, there's some universal truths to life that you can't just positive think your way through. And that really shook my foundations of who I believed I was. You know, as a teenager, I thought, you know, I was like a really good student. I was really good at sport. I was really good at everything in the arts. I couldn't paint, but I could sing, I could act, I could do all those things. It felt like I could do everything. And at no time in my life did I ever feel like that I ever had limitations. I could do anything. And then the reality was that life kind of went and said, no, you can't just do everything. You're going to have to fail. I'd love to say that failure was this magical moment where I just went, that I had some kind of insight that just magically said, you can do everything, but you need to do it by learning lessons. It wasn't like that. It just hurt. And there was moments of mental health that didn't feel great. In 2015, when I was sort of coming to the end of my career in the radio network and doing digital stuff for them, and I was just about to come into my really entrepreneurial period, because I'd failed to keep a job that I'd had for 13 and a half years, because I felt like I'd failed to deliver much. I wasn't a good leader. I was a terrible manager. I had a team of 12 people around the country. There was a night where I heard the nearby train station. I heard the trains going by. And I wanted to walk over to that train station to not catch a train. I won't... Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you can read between the lines. The failure was so deep and so hurtful, and it shook me to the core of who I really believed I was, that I didn't see what was next. I didn't see what the new thing was. I'd always been able to go round and over and under and be able to find a way, but on that one night, and I haven't had a night like that since, I didn't see a way through. I was also incredibly strategic that I immediately messaged 3 friends of mine and said, don't panic, which is the worst thing you can say to your friends, don't panic. But don't panic, I'm having a really dark night at the moment and I'm a bit afraid that I'll do something stupid. I want you to call me in 30 minutes to just check in on me. And they all did, they were amazing. And this was like after midnight, and all 3 of them in other states called me to check in on me and got me through that time. And the next day I did find my way around and over and under. But it didn't come in a magical, beautiful moment where there was flowers and roses and unicorns and fluffy bunnies. It came through one of the darkest periods of my life. I had to emotionally bottom out in order to get to that point. And I found the next thing, and it was then to build that new idea, that new app. But unfortunately that app didn't work out. But by then I'd already been through the bottom. I'd already been to the very bottom of my experience. And so I then knew that, well, the next step would be, once I'd got through that and then failed at the next thing, I already knew what the worst felt like. And I knew that I couldn't go there again because I'd already been there. So the only way is to try the next thing. And that's how I ended up back in Darwin in 2017. Because I remember the one place where I thought anything is possible is in Darwin. It's the one place where within a year you can go from, someone in the back office writing copy for ads to becoming like the breakfast radio presenter. It's the one place where you can go to. Darwin's thought of it as a city of second chances. Mm-hmm. That's what I've always thought about it. If you mess up somewhere else, you can come to Darwin and start again. And it's such a common thing where, like for instance, our entire building industry in Darwin's based off Greek builders who failed in Melbourne and got their licenses taken off them. They came to Darwin and started building buildings. And they were able to do that through the city of second chances. It's, far enough away from everything that you feel like you can try things and it won't kind of affect too many things down south. Or when you grow down there, your bad stories stay up in Darwin. What happens in Darwin stays in Darwin.
Yes.
And that was what it felt like. I'd come back to the place where I knew there was people who didn't care where you came from. They didn't care what your failures were. All they care about is, are you a nice guy? And so I came back and decided to be a nice guy. And I learned how to sell television ads for Channel 10. Oh my God, that's a terrible job. Trying to convince people that it's really valuable for them to advertise during Dancing with the Stars. That's somehow going to make their businesses go boom, when you know damn well it won't. But it did teach me that,
Yep.
On the way from being at your lowest to getting to your highest where I am now, you need to take steps. And they're very humiliating sometimes. Now here I was a tech startup guy. I was on the radio in Darwin, Perth and Hobart. And then here I am trying to sell something I don't believe in, something I don't think works. Mm-hmm. And it was humiliating. But it put me in the place I needed to be to heal.
Yep. And
part of that healing was to fix that rift between who I thought I was and who one day I might be, that they were different. So it gave me that 2-year period where I worked that out. And then by the time it came to like 2022, 2023, it made sense. I knew who I was. But it didn't happen when I was in my 20s. It happened much later when I worked out, oh, that's who you are. Okay, I can work with that.
When you were coming out of that dark space, that really dark time, when you were coming out of it, not when you were in it, could you envision yourself being where you are today?
No, because I didn't have a plan. My only plan in that period was to walk through the mud, and hopefully tomorrow's mud would be less muddy, and then the day after that would be a little less muddy as well. And I just had to have a bit of faith in that things will maybe get better, and my head would be better, and that life would be better. And it did. It happened very quickly. It almost felt like every day just got a little bit better. But there's certain things I learned in that period. Like, for instance, I had no idea I had sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that so much of my mental health was around the fact that I was sleeping so badly. So I got one of those like Darth Vader masks to sleep in, which is terrifying. My poor partner has to deal with this every night. Put this on, woke up the next morning and just went, whoa. Is this what normal people feel like when they woke up? That was almost like step one of coming out of the mud. I had to actually deal with a health issue that then leapt me forward. And so once I get that and my head got clear, then I was able to find the next thing and the next thing. And then it's sort of like, now those breakthroughs and those leaps are happening on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. It just accelerates. So yeah, the mud becomes, walking on clouds almost, because you're now got so much momentum and so much movement forward that, I know, obstacles just become, oh well, that's all right, I can deal with that. I've been at my worst. It's not as bad as that. Yeah. But what does it feel like? It feels like it never ends, But the reality is it was about a couple of weeks where I was at my worst. But it does get better. But it can't get better if you sit still. You've got to keep moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's hard to do when you're in the mindset that all you want to do is sleep. All you want to do is feel bad, because it feels good to feel bad, but it's making you feel worse. But at some point you have to get up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll take a short break after just one more question I have. And then we'll stretch out, get some air. But how about now? What do you envision now? And I'm not going to give you that age-old question of where do you see yourself in 5 years? But in a sense, from the position where you're at now, what do you envision your life to be in the upcoming years?
I'll go back to the first question you asked.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, but where, like, you asked me, like, what's the ultimate? Where do I want to be? In 5 years' time, I should hope that I am doing the work I want to do with the people I want to work with in the hours that I choose to work from wherever in the hell in the world that I want to work from. And that's, like, I'm about 80% of the way there now. Like, it's crazy to think about that. Like, even coming back to Darwin in 2017 and thinking how far away I was from that then. Failed startup, selling television advertising I didn't believe in. And to look at that going now, like, wow, I'm almost there. Like, it's just there, right where that coffee cup is across there. I can see it, I can feel it. I'm doing most of it already. Like I said outside before this, I was telling you, I've got 3 interstate speaking gigs next month in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, that they're paying me to do that. You know how long I'm speaking for? A third of the time that we're on this podcast for each of these things. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I'm getting paid to speak for 30 minutes interstate. So look at that and go, if that's happening now in 2025, imagine what I'll be doing in 2030. Will it be New York? Will it be Mumbai? Where will I be?
Yeah.
Could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So now I know that it's completely possible because I've seen parts of it now already starting to manifest.
Yeah, beautiful. I don't know if I should ask this, but it's funny. When's your birthday, aka how old are you?
My birthday is tomorrow, actually. Just to say I was born in the 1900s. Does that narrow it down? No, I'm not afraid of my age. I'm 51 tomorrow.
That's really cool.
I just got great skin, I know.
So tomorrow morning, we're all going to be in Dante's LinkedIn or Instagram just saying, happy birthday, happy birthday. It's like 500 messages.
Shut up. Blocked.
Nowadays, success is very short. Everyone wants it tomorrow. Not for themselves, but to show the society. And sometimes you know what is your passion. You want to do it, but for necessity, you can't do it. You need to choose a path to run your family. And that is what success for family, for your sacrifice.
Yeah, I actually I know what that means. That's like, you want quick success because your family wants quick success, and you need some quick success because you're trying to set up, a stable base for family to build a life, right? And it's true, you do need some quick wins. I think that the human nature is that we do need to see some return on investment. Now, I play a very long game in life because I'm very strategic. It's like a big game for me. And I love playing that game, and I'm not afraid of failure, now that I know it doesn't kill you, that I am willing to fail. But I also don't have 2 children. I don't have 15 dogs. I don't have a property that I own that I need to maintain. I don't have financial commitments back home that I have to send money back to my parents. None of that stuff. So it's very easy for me to be very entrepreneurial and go, woohoo, let's just throw it all away and just fail. It's fine. Human nature needs a quick win, regardless of whether you have dreams for a family or just dreams for yourself. It's like when you need to lose weight. So the most effective weight loss techniques are usually around caloric deficit, which takes a long time. It takes a long time to lose weight. So what we have is things like keto. Keto is great because you'll lose 5 kilos in 1 week. but you need that initial win. Now, the next week you'll probably lose 1 kilo and then you'll lose nothing, you plateau. But in order for you to build that tolerance to keep going and keep trying, you need to have that quick win. So I believe in quick wins. I don't think that's a Gen Z thing. I don't think it's a modern day thing. I think you need to see some kind of return on your investment. That makes you then more tolerant of having to keep going and keep trying and keep iterating and keep experimenting for the long term. So yeah, I think there's room for quick wins. You have to have quick wins. You also have to have a goal that you're going towards. If your goal is a stable life for your family, to give them a better life than you had, that's the goal that your parents had at the same time. So that's a really valid and noble goal. Mm-hmm. At the same time, yes, there is sacrifice, but everyone needs to sacrifice for the future. That's what investment is. It's I give money now and I don't see a return from that, but someday I will. Superannuation is a sacrifice. Here's a certain amount of money I don't get now that goes into my future. When you get old enough to cash in your superannuation, you look at that amount and you go, that's good, that's really great. But at the time, right now, it feels stupid. And like savings, the same thing. So yeah, definitely you have to have, you can't have just be short term and just be long term. It needs to be a balance between what do I need now to give me the motivation to keep going, and then what is that long term distant goal that I need to aim for as well.
Mm-hmm. Busying your startup or with existing boring businesses like waste management, landscaping, and cleaning businesses?
Oh my God, those are not the boring businesses. Those kind of businesses are, AI can't do them. Automation can't do them. And Aussies don't want to do them. So like, honestly, they are the best. Like, it's like any caring, so aged care, disability care. Why do you think it's full of migrants? It's because Aussies don't want to do it. But secondly, it's got limitless opportunity. It's got so much opportunity that you look at that and go, why aren't people doing that and making money? So you hop into those things. They're great opportunities. They're not boring at all. And you use those as your base to build the thing you want to build. So if you want to build something more exciting, then you've got that safe base that you can fall back on, and you can then start experimenting. You know, I can afford to waste $10,000 over here on a test because I've got my $1.5 million, gardening and landscaping business that's still there if I need to, if that fails. So I think engaging with the government, if you're starting something, usually starts with the small business champions, and you can just Google them. Small Business Champions, Northern Territory Government. And what they are, they're kind of like your concierge through both the grant system and through all the different services you can access. I do a little bit of that too. I generally because most people who are new to the territory don't know that exists, they meet people like me at a networking event and I say, hey, just go and see this person, let me introduce you to that person. Mm-hmm. I think there's two ways. Yes, go through the Small Business Champions, they're great. They cannot give you advice though. All they can do is refer you to other people who might be able to give you advice. There's no free money, unfortunately. That's the hard reality. There's only one grant that will give you money without a proven business idea already in place, and that's the Business Innovation Program grant. It's up to $30,000. There's lots of caveats in there, but generally what it is, it's something that's very novel, very innovative, very new, hasn't been done before, or at least hasn't been done in the territory before. It's very competitive. Both you and Asha are both in that bucket of going for one of those grants at the moment. And the main one that's dealt with by small businesses, if you are in small business already, you're established for more than 6 months, it's not that established, but it's still, you're going, and you're making at least $75,000 a year in that business, you can access a $10,000 bucket of money every year. Mm-hmm. And it's like a dollar for dollar. So if you need $10,000 to get some advice from some kind of expert in environmental consulting, they will give you half of that. So you're basically getting services and advice and things like website design, marketing strategies, all those kind of things, even coaching, business coaching for half price. So the territory government will pay that. And that's pretty easy to access. But of course, if you're just starting today, you don't have $75,000 in revenue yet, that's where you aim for next year. Mm-hmm. So basically, if you're paying GST, you're at that level where you can access that grant. But I think NT government is probably the most generous of all the governments in Australia when it comes to giving support and connecting with people. There's a big difference between somebody who is maybe an advisor like me and the New South Wales government or the Victorian government. There's lots of layers. I can hug Leah Finocchiaro in the street. Like, she's literally in the street every week and hey, how you doing? Hey, hugs and all that. We're not super close friends or anything. I'm not like a massive supporter of hers or not a supporter, but we know each other because you can know those people. There's also Robin Carl, the Minister for Business, Trade, Business and Asian Relations. She's incredibly motivated and very accessible. She's even moving her office from Larrakia up into the city so that more people can drop in and see her. So if you've got like ideas, she's got a really strong heart for migrant people as well. So people who are in a position where they want to start something that don't know where to start. Because she'll look at that and go, okay, I think I know what we're doing wrong here. We're not reaching that group of people with our message. So she'll make it so she can connect you with the right people. So she'll send you to me, she'll send you to the Small Business Champions, the Business Enterprise Centre. There are so many free services. There's another one actually, if you're starting a new business and you just don't know even the first step of it, there's a thing called the Self-Employment Assistance Program. And it's carried out by a group called My Pathway. They're based in Cairns, but they have an employee here in Darwin. And that is a 12-month program, completely free of charge. You get a business coach for 12 months who will work with you every month to help you to go forward with building that business. And it starts off with a week-long course where you basically learn all the basics about how to build a business, develop cash flow projections, work with budgeting, what the tax system does, all that stuff, all in 1 week. So if you can do it maybe in like a semester break or something like that, it can be really helpful. Completely free. And for those who maybe have been on a government benefit, probably not this room because you're all very hardworking people. There is benefits that can be paid for that as well. But they also, you get a certificate 3 in entrepreneurship and small business through the VET education scheme as well. So there's like endless opportunities for that. And then once you get into business, you join, like I was talking to someone just before, how we met each other at a Territory Proud networking event, and those kind of events, which you may think you're not welcome at, you'd be surprised. If you know somebody who goes to Chamber of Commerce events or Territory Proud events or tourism top end events, and you're wanting to get in to meet more people who are active in business, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Seriously, just ask me, hey, is there anything coming up that I could go to? And I say, yeah, sure, I'll get you invited along to it. And so at least you know one person in that crowd you can talk to, and I will introduce you to everybody I think that could be helpful for you. Because our business community here is not like big cities. Like, we actually need to help each other because we all have limits. So I might be working back when I was in digital marketing, I couldn't handle all the work myself. So I had to make connections with others who did digital marketing and give them work as well. And then what we did, we started to specialize. I was really strong in this one. They were really strong in that one. And then what we do is say, hey, I don't really work in that anymore, but I know people who do. And that's that collaboration, and you build real networks amongst that. And you find your specialty in amongst that too. But it's a very unique thing to smaller towns, is that it's so much more connected.
Solid.
Answer. Another long
answer.
answer.
But like what it speaks to me is it's never been easier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like we are in pretty much the best place we could be to do something we want to.
Oh yeah, you can reach out to the CEO of anybody of any company in Darwin on LinkedIn, and they'll be, first of all, surprised that you even care to reach out to them. Like, there's people who don't even know they are mentors of mine, that they are my mentors. Like, I've got about probably 15 mentors that they have no idea who I am, but I just follow them on LinkedIn and I listen to everything they say and I watch everything that they produce. And that happens here too. Like, I was at the gym, must have been about 3 months ago at Palmerston at the Club Lime, and I was just about to start a workout, and this girl comes over and she says to me, oh, I just want to say, like, I love your newsletter and all the things you do on LinkedIn. I've never met her before in my life. I have no idea. I don't even remember her name. But that was just somebody who I had no idea was an audience person who was getting some value out of what I was doing. And that just made me feel so good because it made me feel like it's worth doing that work. And there's things like that you don't get to do elsewhere as easily. You're not going to run into those people of influence and those people who are connected as easily in Melbourne or Adelaide or Brisbane. But here it's so simple. Like they literally, you'll see them in a cafe, you'll see them in Coles, you'll see them at the gym. They're just everywhere.
Solid. Wow. What's your opinion on Andrew Tate?
He's got a great hairstyle. Look, Andrew Tate, I've got like many opinions. So the first thing about Andrew Tate that I think is really powerful is that he has been able to tap into a segment of male youth that is not served elsewhere. So these are guys who are gone, all this messaging, all this stuff that's around doesn't apply to me. I can't relate to it. I can't see it. Here's someone who comes out and says all those things, and he's making me feel like, oh, I am important. All my insecurities are true. That's the positive side of it. The negative side of it is that it always comes at the expense of some other group. So it's like, it's not saying that men should be empowered. It's saying that men should be empowered, but women should be disempowered. It's not saying that young men should be finding a community. It's saying young men should find a community and then hate every other community. So it's not saying, it's focusing only in on the very extreme examples of what you should do without providing the offset for that, which is when things are unbalanced, you've got to look at the person who's trying to do this. So I actually got Hustlers University, and I because I have a kid that I'm mentoring. So I've been mentoring a 14-year-old recently in confidence, and he's such a smart kid. He's so smart and so capable and clever. But I just got this vibe from him that he was probably a little bit early incel. So some early incel vibes going on. So I thought, dropped it in and actually I mentioned Andrew Tate. His eyes lit up. You know who Andrew Tate is? I went, yeah, of course I do. He's like, oh, okay. And then everything I said after that had relevance to him because I recognized someone he regarded as a hero.
Yep.
Now, do I like Andrew Tate? No. Do I follow Andrew Tate? Not anymore. Do I think that he adds value to the world? Absolutely not. I think his net negatives are far greater than his net positives. But he's doing something that the rest of us haven't been able to do. He's been able to reach young men, particularly white young men, in a way that others haven't been able to. So a group that feels like they're being left behind, he's filled that void and he's making millions out of that. He's been able to find a way to make millions out of tapping into an untapped market of people who believe they're disenfranchised. And if you think there's no power in disenfranchised groups, I've got 2 words for you. Donald Trump. The guy's running the biggest economy in the planet because he was able to make the richest people in the world feel like they were the most discriminated against people in the world. And that's what Andrew Tate's doing. The most privileged people in the world, young white men, usually in Western countries, who have every opportunity available to them, he's convinced them that they have the worst possible situation, that the world is against them, the world hates them. So there is money in that, yes. The ethics of doing that, I question, but it's just like, all these hyper-successful alpha male types, Kyle Sandilands, Donald Trump, Piers Morgan, you look at these hyper-male, hyper-aggressive personalities and go, they've been able to do what the rest of us haven't been able to do. So that calls out to us to say, what can we do to reach those people? Because they don't care about any of those. Donald Trump does not care about America or Americans. He only cares about his own wealth and his own attention. Right? That's all he cares about. But he wraps it up in a Make America Great Again hat to make you feel like, oh, I can relate to that.
Yes.
Now the net positive is, for a moment in time, some Americans feel like they're on top of the world again. The net negative is that the economy is slumping, the stock market's tanking, the world is going into chaos, but he's still getting attention, so yay. And that's the Andrew Tate problem, is Andrew Tate is doing this for cash. He's not doing this because he even believes in what he's saying. Because even go through Hustlers University, every time he pops in, it's not even usually him. It's usually someone else presenting something for him. But when he pops in, his messages don't connect. They're actually often conflicting with each other. So he says one thing in one video, and the next video he says the opposite. And it just, you have no idea where he's going to go because it is chaos. It's not actually anything of substance. It's just get the money in and then shut it down, and then we'll do the next thing, and then we'll shut that down, and we'll do the next thing, going from crypto grift to crypto grift. And it's just a constant scam.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Whew.
Good question though. Spicy takes.
If you had to boil down all your advice into one line, what will be that one piece of advice?
Get curious, stay curious, never stop learning.
How can someone give back to the society up in Darwin? I feel so lucky to be here, and Darwin gave me so much. Should I start NGO or just do random things to help locals?
Well, I think a decent human being does random things to help people around them. So that's not even giving back. That's just being a part of society.
Mm-hmm.
You know, smiling at someone in the street. That's an incredibly powerful thing, because I don't know if you've been to Sydney or Melbourne. You smile at someone in the street, they're like,
I know.
What?
Oh my God.
What do you want from me? What?
Yeah.
They really freak out. You smile at someone in the street in Darwin, they smile back.
Yeah.
So you help, by doing that, you actually contribute to a much nicer society.
Yes.
And you never know just what that one smile or that hi or that hello or remembering someone's name or where you met them, what that means to them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what that's doing to their day. And that's how you give back to society in just a small way.
Mm-hmm.
The other way you can give back to society is that you succeed. By you succeeding, whether you leave town or whether you stay here, you show others like yourself that they can succeed too, particularly if you're from a migrant background, right? You're from the Filipino community, you succeed, other people in your community see you succeed, they see possibility for them to succeed. And I think that's how you give back. You give back by being successful.
Mm.
And volunteer. That could be helpful too. It's such loud. Yeah. Let's start a band.
It's really funny. We were like, when we were setting this up yesterday, Ade actually like came up, like hooked up on the mics, and he was doing beatboxing, like on the mics. It was really cool. Hi Dante. I remember first time I attended your speech at an ACS workshop.
Yeah.
You talked about Ikigai. I still couldn't find my Ikigai. Can you give an idea of how someone, me mostly, can discover their Ikigai? Still can't get myself to ask you for coffee and chat with about Ikigai.
I think you just did. Let's go out. I don't know who it was, but hey, let's go grab a coffee and have a chat.
Beautiful.
I'd love to. I love doing that. It's a favorite part of my week, is just meeting random people and just having coffee, because I like coffee. And if you pay for the coffee, even better, right? So Ikigai is a concept, if you haven't come across it, of the Japanese concept of loosely translated as your life purpose. It's find the meaning of your life. And that's like the grand question we all have. What does life mean? What's the meaning of my life? I found my Ikigai by basically going, okay, well, the first quadrant is, what do I love? I love Star Trek and Star Wars. I can't really build much from that. So I'll go, well, what can I make money from? What can I do that helps the world? What does the world need? And then what am I actually good at? So I'm good at anything sort of digital, technical kind of stuff. I'm pretty good at that. I can pick it up really easily. I'm also really good at speaking sometimes when I'm in a good place. I'm great at speaking. What does the world need? The world needs inspiration. It needs the ability to be able to push through the challenges that it has now. What can make money? Well, let's go back to Star Trek and Star Wars. What do I love about that? So if you're into anime, that's what you love. Don't question it, because what we tend to do with the Ikigai when we do what do you love, we think of what do we love in terms of what's a career that I could do. Mm-hmm. No, it's not about that. What do you love? Do you love food? I love food. Didn't build this beautiful body on lettuce. So I love food. I love Star Trek. What is it that I love so much about Star Trek? I love that in the Star Trek universe, the future is infinitely, everything's possible. You know, the hunger is gone. There's no need for money. There's no poverty. It's like this perfect utopian future. Now, various Star Trek franchises show you that's not the case, but that's what I love about it. It shows you that we can be anything. We can be so much more than what we are now. What enables that is technology. I love Star Trek because I love the technology. Imagine you just walk up to a hole in the wall and you go, I want dal. And it produces you this most amazing dal you've ever had in your life. And you go, okay, well, yeah, some masala chai. Yep, great, got that too. A triple cheeseburger, but no fat. Great, it'll produce that too. And technology enables that. So I go, okay, you see the food thing again, right? If it's technology, can that make money? Yeah, sure, because everyone struggles with some aspect of technology, especially business owners. They really do struggle with it. Entrepreneurs generally aren't good with technology. They're really good with ideas, but they're not really good at making those ideas happen. I love technology. I can make money out of technology. What am I good at? I'm good at working out how to use technology, but what I'm really good at is teaching other people to use technology. Love technology. Can make money out of technology. I can make money out of teaching people technology. Am I any good at it? Yeah, actually, I am really good at it. So what do I love? I love technology. I can make money out of technology, specifically out of teaching technology. So why aren't I doing that? So that's what I'm doing now. That's essentially where 60% of my week comes from, is showing people how to use AI tools and how to use LinkedIn and how to connect different systems together to get something of an outcome in their business, how to avoid having to do repetitive work by using this technology to make it happen. And that became my whole point of being, is teaching people how to use technology, which means that I've already been doing this all my life. I was teaching my friends how to use their Commodore 64 computers to program in BASIC to produce these choose your own adventure games. I was doing that when I was 12. So I've always done this. My Ikigai is so obvious. It's something I've always done. When I got out of medicine and went into the bars and then got into a call center, what did I do? I taught people how to use their technology. In that case, it was pay television and VCRs and connecting them together so they'd work. Oh my God, this is really my whole purpose in life. I teach technology. Okay. Once I understood that, then I knew what to do. When I do that stuff, when I'm training, when I'm helping people, I'm teaching, when I'm speaking in front of a big group of people and showing them how something works, I'm in my zone. I'm right in where I need to be. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm energized. Even talking about it now makes me feel excited too, because I really enjoy it. I love technology. So I think when it comes to finding your Ikigai, we get caught up on that, what do I love? Because we know what we can make money out of. We just look around and look what people do for money. We might know what we're good at. We're good at pretty much the things we're good at. And we know the world needs those things, but we get stuck on the what do I love? And we keep trying to go, look at all these things we can do with money, make something I love, match that. No, start with what you love first. And that's where you find your meaning. Go start with the thing you love. Kondo Marie, the great organization queen from Japan, she talks about finding a spark of joy. If something doesn't have give you a spark of joy in your life, throw it out. She's all about decluttering your home.
Yes.
The same thing happens is you look for the thing that gives you that spark of joy in your life. What's the thing that lights you up? What's the thing that just gets you going? And it doesn't have to be logical. It can be fantasy novels, young adult fiction. It can be I don't know, skimming stones across a lake, whatever makes you joyful and sparks that joy inside you, that's what you love, then take that. So for me, it was Star Trek. Love Star Trek. I can name way too many starships and fake alien species, and I used to be able to speak a bit of Klingon, but that's where my love came from. But I had to go, okay, what is it I love about that? So what is it you love about food? It brings comfort, it brings people together. Oh, okay. So it's not really about the food, it's about bringing people together and giving them comfort. The world needs that. Are you good at that? Yeah. Can you make money from that? Oh, hell yeah. And that's where Ikigai comes from. It's got to start with what you love. Everyone's going to go out and Google Ikigai. Ikigai.
I still remember the conversation we had. Like, I'm going to remember this for my whole life. But just for sharing, a few months ago, we had a chat. And then you told me, oh, why do you want to do a podcast? Why? And then, like, you kept asking me questions. I'm like, oh, because maybe I can monetize it. Maybe I can do this. I'm like, no. Why do you want to do it? And then you told me, you're not going to know the answer. Just go home, take some time, and it's going to come to you.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to explore your podcast, the why? Or do you want to do... or what my method is there?
The method. Because when I left Innovation Hub that day, when I was driving, everything just looked beautiful. The world just looked more brighter. And then I felt like I had been put into pretty much I've gone through a spiritual journey or something. Kind of felt like that. And then I was like, oh shit, what the hell is going on? And I was like, oh my God, there's cars going on the street. These people want to go somewhere. There's traffic lights. Was going to say something, not going to say that anymore. It kind of just left me in a very weird state. And I went into deep meditations, just writing down my thoughts, journaling, reflecting, and all that just gave me something. And that something is where I was like, oh, okay, this is the reason why I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Shall we talk more?
I call it the 5 whys. So you're asking 5 levels of why. So you want to start a podcast. Why do you want to start a podcast? You say, well, I want to find something to monetize. Great. Why do you want to monetize? Well, because I'm trying to get some money and to do something more than what I'm doing. Why do you feel the need to do something more? So this is on my 3rd why. Well, because my career is great. I love it. I really get some joy out of it. But I feel like there needs to be something else, something just for me. So why do you feel like you need something just for you? Up to 4. Because I don't remember making a choice to get into this career. It just sort of happened. Why do you think you made the choice? Why do you think you don't remember making this choice? Because I didn't. And it messes with your mind, right? It makes you go, and suddenly for a moment, you've taken a peek inside the matrix of life and realized that what you think is a life you've created based upon your choices is actually a life that was given to you. So one of my favorite YouTubers is a guy called Dante. And Dan, for me, asks he loves fucking with your head, right? He loves messing with your head. And one of the things he says is that if you don't choose a life, one will be chosen for you. If you don't choose a career, one will be allocated to you. If you don't choose what to study, you will find yourself studying something. Something will be given to you to do. So most people, myself included, when in that early part of my life, we can look back on what we've done through our lives and go, I don't remember making that choice. How did I end up here? How did I end up on this street? How did I end up in Darwin? How did I end up studying this? How did I end up marrying this person? And you realize that you don't remember how it happened. You don't remember what the process was behind you choosing those outcomes. They just were chosen for you. You end up marrying that woman because you didn't choose one for yourself, so your parents chose one for you. And then you've got that. Okay, that's not the end of the world. That's actually, in many cases works really well for people. But if every single outcome in your life is something that you never chose or never actively contributed to, was it ever your life to begin with? Or was it just simply a path that somebody else laid out for you because you didn't lay one out for yourself? And I suppose that's what my life's been about. The first quarter to a third of my life was that battle between having this path laid out for me or me laying out my own. And thankfully, I was really, really rebellious, quite young, that I questioned everything. I was asking, why? You have to go to school, why? You have to learn how to learn, why? Why can't I just do things? Well, because, you need to learn how to think more clearly and critically. Well, why? Because people who don't think critically make really stupid decisions in life. Well, why are they stupid decisions? Because they end up hurting themselves and hurting others. Oh, okay. And then finally I'd feel satisfied and go, okay, that makes sense. I'll take that on board. I'll still do whatever the hell I want, but at least I had that feeling that I was laying out the next steps myself. I wasn't just following someone else's path. Unfortunately, that is also a hard way to go through life. My mum often says to me, darling, why do you always choose the long way around? Why do you always choose the hardest path? And I go, because I can't help it. Because I just look at the people who've gone through the easy path and I go, there's nothing in their life that I want. But look, they're happy. Are they? Or are they just living something predictable? Are they just, living something that's easy? And that's just not my path. And it's great for their path, but it's just not mine. I think that's probably the head screw up that you had at the time, was just that you got to a point where you went, who am I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you that.
Yeah, who the hell am I? What are my values? What are the things that what are my core beliefs? What can I never change? Who am I when it's like the worst of the worst, and who am I when it's like best of the best? So yeah, all that stuff, it just it's really internal, but it's like it goes inside you and then it explodes and bursts outside.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah. And like, as you said, the world looked more colourful, the world looked brighter, the world somehow looked a bit more rich. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't the world that was different, it was you that was different. And that wasn't because of me, that's because someone else once did that with me. And I'm just like, well, I remember what that did to me. So, hey, try this, it worked for me. This is way more philosophical than what I was planning on.
Yeah. How much do you charge for coaching and what does it include?
DanteStJames.com, you'll find all the answers to your questions. It's about $165 an hour, but I'm currently working with a government program that will subsidise that for you. So at the moment, I can give you 3 hours of my time. If you've got an Australian business number, so an ABN, 3 hours over, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, do that. Won't cost you anything.
Cool.
But yeah, have a chat later on, or just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll hook you up.
Sorry, I'm just filtering certain questions.
To save my dignity.
Mr. Dante, thoughts on how much do you think is decent income to live a good life in Australia? And I'm sorry if I'm skipping questions. I'm skipping something which would be slightly irrelevant because I know we're like time constrained.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, how much do you think is decent income to live a good life in Australia? Not a fancy and luxurious, just Mr. Dante thoughts.
Oh, it depends on the life. Like, what do you want to do in your life? Is your life involving walks on the beach, watching sunsets? They're free, so you don't need much money for a life like that. You just need a place to live. Do you want a family? Do you want to send your kids to a private school? Do you want to be able to fly home every year to visit family? All that stuff has to be taken into consideration. So you just have to start with, what is the ideal life I want? Then you reverse engineer. Unfortunately, people start with, what's the money I need? And I'll build a life that matches the money. It's like, no, build the life in your head first, then reverse engineer how you'll get there. And you won't get it straight away. No one ever does. You're still young, right? But you get there eventually. You eventually get to that point. So start with what the ideal looks like. Get that really clear in your head. Meditate on it, pray on it, whatever it takes to get that idea solidly in your head so you know that's the life you want to live. I know, like I've told you now twice what my life looks like, and I'm 80% of the way there now because I knew what it was. How much does that cost? Maybe millions, I don't know. But the money will happen. What doesn't happen is no one can tell me what my life needs to look like. I need to make that first. So I know that's a really, really non-committal answer. It depends on your life. So if your life is involving husband or wife, 2, 3, 4 kids, multiple mortgages on investment properties, your life gets expensive. You're both going to need to earn well over $150,000 per annum each to build that kind of life. If your life involves you not owning property, but you want to own experiences instead, that comes down significantly because you're not needing to build wealth. You're just using the money you've got that's coming in to do the things you want to do. They all have their different ways and advantages and disadvantages, but start first on what you want to do with life. What does it look like when you're my age? What do you want to look like when you're what do you want your life to look like when you're 50, 60, 70? How comfortable does it need to be? How wealthy do you need to be? How many people do you want around you? How much family do you want around you? Yeah, start with the ideal picture of your life first. And then you can work out how much money you need. I think they were looking for a figure.
Yeah.
$130,000 per annum. Maybe.
That's a lot.
Maybe, I don't know. They're mostly engineering students in here, so that's completely feasible in engineering. Not in first year, but...
Unless you're a mining engineer.
True. And then it's like you can just basically go to a mining site and just be a janitor and earn 150 grand.
In a short summary, as a student with a strong idea but limited financial resources, what would you suggest as the first steps to start bringing it to life? From your experience, I think we already covered this. What are the best ways for students to seek funding, sponsorships, or support to turn their ideas into reality?
Do things for free first, and don't get paid for it. That's usually what it is. I still do free stuff all the time because that's how I test ideas out. So I think do something for free to first of all see whether you actually like doing it and whether anyone needs it, and then you build out from there. So that's when you can start charging for it, is when you've got proof that it's needed, that people want it, they're willing to pay for it. As a student with no means, you have no choice really. You have to start doing things for free. Do things that take time, not things. If you have to buy like tons of equipment to do something to start it off with and you've got no money, well then this isn't an option, right? This is something you have to build by working.
Yep.
Start with something you can do with your time. Tutoring, language teaching, digital marketing, building websites, training people, teaching people. All that sort of stuff doesn't require any investment, just time.
Cool. Next one is book recommendations. This is going to be so funny.
Wow, okay. Because like I do a daily video on this basically. So they're pretty much all in there. Just connect to my, in my TikTok and my LinkedIn and Instagram all have that daily. The ones that are probably really good beginners, I would start with, if you want to have a kind of business that is based around your personality, a book called Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. It's a really good thin book. You'll read it in one afternoon. Really good way to get started on the idea of the personal brand, you as a brand. For something which is going to mess with your head a little bit, but teach you to think more strategically, something like Dan Koh's Art of Focus. So The Art of Focus by Dan Koh, K-O-E. Is a really good place to start. If you're looking at more of a journey that is of experiences and of spiritual experience, but also has a deep root in psychology that also can be applied well to business and a career. A very old book called The Road Less Traveled by a guy called M. Scott Peck. He's no longer around. It's a very old book. His follow-up books are beautiful. There's one he wrote called In Search of Stones, where he goes around Britain and Ireland looking for the Neolithic stone sites, such as like Stonehenge and places like that, and finding lessons in life through encountering those sites. That's really beautiful. There is great truths to be found in all the great religious writings of the world. You can go into all the Gitas, you can go into the Bible, you can go into the Quran. There's amazing truths to be found in all of those, because they essentially, whether you think they're written by God or inspired by God, they were still told through the lens of humanity, and they all reflect back through what the journey of a human from child to adult is. So you find truth in any of those. But what I go into reading religious texts is I kind of put aside the religion of it and just go, how is this a life lesson? And when I read it as a life lesson, it makes complete sense. And the more you do that, the more you realize that they all are kind of saying the same thing. It doesn't matter what religion you're reading from, they all kind of say the same thing. It's all about, love yourself, love your God, love those people around you. Do
Be
no
honest.
harm. Yeah, there's universal truths that they all cover. Except Dianetics, the book that was written by L. Ron Hubbard about Scientology, that's full of shit. Absolutely crap. It's not even a real religion. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme.
Naval Ravikant mentions leverage in his book. How can we create and sustain leverage about something given the lack of options in Darwin apart from social media?
Leverage comes first from what you know. So it comes from your knowledge. It comes from like things you know that other people may not know. So you have leverage over someone else because you know something that they don't. So you start there. And then once you've got that momentum of having created leverage by knowledge, you can then start to create leverage in experiences. So I have more experience than you in this, so therefore I have leverage that I can sell. It doesn't matter what level you're at of knowledge, that's the great leverage you have. There's always going to be someone who needs a piece of knowledge that you know. So for instance, I'm from teaching, right? So sometimes you only have to be a page or two ahead of where your students are. You still have leverage because you still know more than they do. I think leverage is what you're probably asking for, is like financial leverage. So it's like, how do I build up enough to have money that I can then use to make more money? So there's tons of money-making leverage things you can do. Some people use like multi-level marketing schemes for that, but they've got like a 99% failure rate. So I don't know if that's so great. Crypto is like a real fast track for some people. I made a little bit on crypto, nothing particularly outstanding, but it showed me, okay, well, it's speculative. It's speculative investment, just like the stock market, same kind of thing, right? It's no different, it's all the same. You could do, okay, what else can I invest in that gives me leverage? Leverage is basically, what can I buy that's an asset that then makes me more money? Mm-hmm. So for instance, you buy a computer, right? That computer is a money-making machine. So I'm never scared to spend $3,000 on a laptop because it makes me way more than that every year. But people say, oh my God, $3,000 for a computer, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, but that's helped me build like a $3.2 million business. Oh, okay, that's not really that big an investment then, is it? Or buying a new phone, like I got my Pixel 9 Pro, and it's like, do I need all the power of a Pixel 9 Pro? Probably not. But what is the one computer I use more in my day than any other one? The one that's sitting in my pocket right now. So is it worth paying $1,400 for? Well, yeah, that's where a lot of business comes from. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's $1,400 that makes me tens of thousands of dollars. So that's what leverage can be. Is like, what are the things that are assets? So a car, for instance, you buy a car. I don't make money out of my car. I live just in Woolner. I can ride a bike to work. Even in the wet season, I get a little wet. I got a shower at work. So for me, a car is not an investment. It's not an asset. It's actually a liability because it doesn't make me money. But if you're doing food deliveries, if you have to drive from the city to Casuarina for work, your car is then an asset. It's helping you to be able to access something you otherwise wouldn't be able to. That could be, I don't know, getting you out of public transport. But then you go, oh, well then it's probably not an asset because public transport's cheaper, but I won't die in my car like I would on public transport. So you've got to look at it as, what does this thing buy me? Not just like, okay, I could buy, I love that lamp, for instance, like Kmart, right? Yeah.
It's Officeworks, yeah.
Officeworks, same thing, right? I've seen them before, I like them, and I go, okay, I really like that, but what will it bring to my life? And I go, I've already got a lamp beside my bed. Do I even notice that lamp? No. Do I need that lamp? Will this lamp actually create any sort of leverage in my life? No. But will I look across at that lamp in 6 months' time and go, I love that lamp, it makes me feel good. That helps me have a better mood for my day? Probably not, actually, because I haven't even noticed the lamp I've got. I don't even know, I can't even tell you roughly what my bedside lamp looks like. So I go, well, don't need the lamp. But if I go, can I spend $69 for a little pot of pre-workout for my gym workouts? I know that when I don't have pre-workout to go to the gym, I have a really bad workout and I feel terrible when I start my day. I feel tired, I feel listless. But that $69 that I spend once every maybe 2 months helps me to have a better workout, which helps me to feel better, which helps me to be more productive in that first hour of my day. That's probably worth it. That's got some real value. So that's how I work out leverage, is go, what can this help me do that I can't do now?
Yep.
Or what can it help me do better that I would like to do better now? And it takes a lot of joy out of life because you're always judging everything. It's like, oh, will I spend $2.50 or just $2 on that spaghetti sauce? You know, with the Heinz or the Maggi one, is that like, which one's going to give me the more joy? And I don't do much of that. I get you foods, man. So I don't even cook anymore.
Thoughts on network marketing, because it sounds like a pyramid scheme and sounds too good to be true.
Usually is. Like I said, about 99% failure rate. So 99% of people who, on any network marketing scheme who get into it, will not make enough money to live on. 96% of people won't make any money at all. So there's some people who wildly succeed at it. Usually they get in really early. So if you're trying to get an Amway now, Amway was hot in 1963. That's when all the highest ranking people started in 1963. So there's a trick to network marketing, which is identify the next big thing. Get in really early so you're not too far down the downline, and then you've got this biggest opportunity to succeed. But the problem with network marketing is the first word, network. If you have no network, you have no one to sell to, you have no one to produce it to, and all you're doing is annoying your best friends to try and buy this thing from you. So network marketing isn't actually the root of all evil. I think it's just you require a network first. So the most successful network marketers have already been successful network marketers in another scheme. So they were in Isogenics in the 2010s. They've jumped over to Modere, but that died last year or this year. So they've jumped over from Modere into New Skin, or they've gone from New Skin over to now Amway because there's an opportunity, because in their community it's not really well known. Or there's a new one starting up. A New Skin actually is about to hit India in November, and so I've got these people coming to me saying, how can I get in with the Indians? Like, oh man, well, I got in with the Indians by literally having a relationship with one. But I don't think that's really ethically sound what you're trying to do there, because they want to be one of the first to get into the big massive Indian market. And like, okay, sure. So I don't think it's, I used to be really harsh about network marketing because I see how many people fail at it. The reality is that if you're willing to make it your life, and it's no such thing as passive income, you'll never reach that. Even the people at the very top are not passively income. They have to train, they have to recruit, they're constantly recruiting and training. Their life becomes from network marketing event to network marketing event to network marketing event, and constantly training their downline. You're just as much a slave to a network marketing business as you are to any business. So you're not really getting out of it. It's just, I guess, again, that word leverage. You can do one piece of work and make money from that one piece of work, but then you keep having to make more pieces of work because you never truly get ahead. There's always something going wrong. And there's also the thing is that eventually most of your downline will learn that they're making no money and they'll desert you.
Yeah.
There goes your money.
Cool.
Actually, one that I was involved in back in the 1990s ended up being a pyramid scheme, and a whole lot of people lost a lot of money and they shut it down.
Okay, the questions are still coming in. This is so cool.
So cool. We could be here all day, man.
Yeah, we can be here all day.
Just bring the food in here or just eat and talk.
Okay, I'll just probably have to choose for one more question. What's your daily schedule or routine?
Oh, good one. I have one. So I wake up at 5 a.m. I'm at the gym by 5:30. I work out for an hour and a half. I start work at 7 a.m. I like to start work an hour before everybody else because there's no questions, there's no distractions. I can just do my deep work and really the things I love the most, I can put all my effort into. Then 8 o'clock hits and everyone arrives at the office, and that's when it gets not so much chaotic, but I like to front load my day with really awesome things. So the best meetings, the people, like all the coaching sessions, I like to do early in the day, or meetings where I'm reporting back good things. I like to start the day to be sort of all in the front there. Later in the day is when it's more like coffee catch-ups. So, because by then I need the coffee to stay awake. I like my day to end where I'm absolutely exhausted. It feels so good to get home. And sometimes my day will start at 7 and end by 2. And I'll go home and just chill for the afternoon, watch YouTube videos. But sometimes it starts at 7 and ends at 7, particularly if you've got like events on afterwards. So my routine's very much the starting. So if I have to go through it, it's like alarm goes off, but I usually wake up just like literally 1 or 2 minutes before the alarm. And I grab the phone and go, oh, cool, turn it off. Get up, shake my partner, it's time to go to the gym. We do all the morning things you need to do to survive. Drink my pre-workout. It's always drunk before I leave the house. The night before, I've actually got my clothes laid out for the next day, and they're in my gym bag, ready to go. My gym clothes are also laid out, so I don't have to think when I'm on autopilot. The gym clothes are there. I only own 2 pairs of shoes now that I actually wear. This is one of them. The other ones are black. The same shoes, but black. So I make all the things really simple. I'm now at the point where I need another 5 of these shirts because I don't want to choose what I wear anymore.
Yep.
I just want to just go put it on, and you don't have to iron these, which is even better. I just try to I try to optimize everything so that I can get joy out of my life later in the day. So that everything's autopilot up until, sorry, forgot to, I meditate on the treadmill with my eyes open. Now I'm someone who, my partner laughs at this because I didn't used to meditate. I used to be like, almost like a badge of honor saying, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. My brain's too ADHD, I can't do it. I now meditate for like 20 minutes up to 30 minutes sometimes while walking on a treadmill, and I'm repeating back affirmation. I look crazy at the gym, right? It's like, you are powerful. I am powerful. You are a creator. I am a creator. And I'm saying all this at the Club Lime gym silently, but I'm mouthing it out. People must think I'm nuts, but that's how I squeeze it in. So I'm able to do that, and it sets up my day so well, so that when I hit the ground at like 7 a.m. in the office, I've already been going for 2 hours. I'm on fire. I'm also jacked up on freaking pre-workout juice. So there's so much caffeine in my system by then.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right, I might just like open it for everyone now. So if you have any questions that you want to voice out or ask.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
How important is mentorship? Being mentored by, you have 50 or 15 more. Like, did you seek out one, or during your failure times or during the moments of dark times? Like, did you seek out it, or was it all just based on experience? And when did you tap into mentors?
Oh man, all my life I've kind of been anti-hero. I've hated heroes. I've never had heroes. But when I think back right through those times, my English teacher in year 11 and 12 was a mentor to me, because when I had struggles, he could see it and he'd ask me if I was okay. And then I'd have these conversations with my English teacher. And he was also my history teacher and my economics teacher. It was a small school. He taught everything. And then he became the principal. But he was a mentor. Then I think of my athletics coach when I was a teenager. Brian Best, his name is, he's now passed away. And he was my mentor because he was able to get the best out of me as an athlete when I was younger. Like, it's something I was like, I haven't told you about this. I used to be like a national runner. Like, I didn't always look like this, right? Now I struggle to walk on a treadmill. But I think that mentors come to you when you express a desire to do something more than just live life. If you're going to go with the flow people, mentors will come to you, but you won't recognize them. I always joke that go with the flow just means you're like a piece of shit going down a sewer pipe. I want to create the flow. I love flow. Flow state's the greatest state to be in, but I want to create that flow. I don't want to just be in someone else's flow. And so mentors come to you when they recognize, if you see greatness in someone, the first thing you want to do is encourage them, right? So if you see someone doing something amazing and you're in a position to talk to them, you just want to kind of help them, right? You want to come on board and help them. So that's what I think it is. You seek greatness, you seek something outside of the everyday. The right mentors will notice you and they'll want to spend time with you, but they won't be mentors. What they'll be is friends. I think we put a big title on it called mentor and we go, who is my mentor? I need to find my mentor. And then the mentors of the world are just going, I want to be a mentor. If anyone comes and says, I want to be your mentor, run. Because it should be so much more natural than that. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I will be your mentor. It's more like, well, how about I just be your friend and help you, encourage you from what I can. And then at some point, it becomes a mentor relationship. But it's all based upon a deep respect and love for each other. But I think it's important to have them. I just say, don't seek them. Just have coffee with someone who you think you'd like to spend time with. Not in a creepy way, but like if there's someone if you want to have coffee with someone and say, hey, just approach them and say, hey, I love what you do. I'd love to have coffee with you just so I can ask you a few questions. And if it hits off, it hits off. If it doesn't, it does. Kind of like dating, I guess, same kind of thing. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
Just in addition of the previous one,
Yep.
like what are the sources of learning for yourself looks like these days other than people?
YouTube. A lot of YouTube, tons of reading, exploring rabbit holes on Google Gemini. I like that. I actually prefer it to ChatGPT because it does some amazing stuff now. Like it's just gone to a whole other level and it can organize things like in Notebook LM, they've got the audio overviews. Google's Gemini now does that as well. So you do a deep research on a topic and you go generate an audio overview. I can then download that to my phone and listen to it in the car or on the treadmill once I've finished my crazy meditations and I'm doing my workout. If you learn best like that. So for me, it's like the greatest lessons are by tapping into the entire knowledge base of humanity on the internet and just getting it. But then there's the other side. You don't want to become completely just digital in life. You need to actually have humans as well. So I hang out with Abhi and he's taught me how to play chess. I'm still terrible at it. He's taught me some magic tricks. I'm still terrible at them. But I've learned something about humanity through hanging out with Abhi because he's shown me another side of life that I didn't know. I hang out with my partner because my partner has a completely different background to me and completely different spirituality that I have. I don't even have a spirituality, although I'm starting to think I might have a spirituality, but it's kind of like worshipping AI, maybe, just in case they are overlords and I have to bow down to them. But I guess that you'd learn from individual people. Always seek out people who are different to you to connect with, because it's so easy to just connect with people who agree with you or look like you or speak like you. Seek out the person with the accent that you can't understand so you learn to understand. Seek out the person with the spirituality that you don't agree with because there's something in there that you're going to find a connection with and you'll learn something new. Try the food that you think is too spicy, or in your case, try the food that you think is too bland, and then just try. I think just seek out difference. I think that's where you find so much more learning than just doing the same thing over and over. Because then what you really do, if you do the same thing over and over all the time, you get to your life in 10 years' time and you haven't got 10 years of experience, you've got 1 year of experience 10 times over. What you want is 10 years of experiences, because that's exponential growth rather than just simply doing the same thing again and just getting better at it.
Arsh? Yes.
Just want to get a bit deeper on the leverage side
Yeah.
of things. So that question is more of like, for example, you create leverage in a way, for example, like you create a tech agency or like an AI agency or like a digital marketing agency, but still that leverage is not scalable. Like I don't want to scale to like lots of people. How can I create something? How can I create a leverage that is like scalable in a way that doesn't require like a lot of human capital intensive efforts or like, or a constant active involvement of that in that the piece of leverage.
Okay, so it's the difference between opening a coffee shop and knowing you can only serve so many people in that one location, as opposed to opening a coffee consultancy, which is infinitely scalable through coffee courses and coffee TikToks, which will bring in ad revenue and all that. So what you're talking about, like scale, creating scale. Okay, so that's something I'm actually going through at the moment. I'm at that place where I'm starting to scale things up. For me, scale was taking one coffee shop, turning it into 3 coffee shops. I tried to scale out developing our own roast of coffee and as a way to get a lot further. Ended up being a really expensive mess and just not worth it. And coffee is really expensive now. So the scale then is coming from taking something that you know really well. It comes out of knowledge. That's the one thing you can scale the most is knowledge. But I can't scale my knowledge by simply having one-to-one coffees. Otherwise, there's not enough hours in the day or hours in your life to do that, to scale it out to something that's going to make millions. So what you need to do is create content. So that's why I spend so much time creating content on LinkedIn, because it brings in new work for me, but it's also showing me what works and what people need. So I go, okay, you need that. I need to build a course about that, because I know that's not covered really well elsewhere, or it is, but it's from an American point of view, or it's from a British point of view, and it needs to be from an Australian point of view, or it doesn't really talk to the migrant experience. What do I know about the migrant experience? Do I know enough migrants to put that in? So you're always looking for a niche, but you can't be the niche. Like you can't, it's not just related. You can't scale your own time, but you can scale your knowledge out. So you go, for instance, I'm writing a book at the moment, right? That's part of my scaling. It's called SWOT Yourself. And it's all about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in the terms of a personal growth. I didn't start writing that book until I had a clear picture on my mind how to scale that. So SWOT Yourself, the book. I will make no money out of that. I'll lose money on that, but then there's going to be SWOT Yourself for international students, SWOT Yourself for people changing their careers, SWOT Yourself for teens, SWOT Yourself for women, SWOT Yourself for men. And then there's all the courses that come out of that. And each of those courses, you'll get a bit of that course as part of purchasing the book, but then there's the next bit. So what are the tools, the AI tools that I can produce that help you to SWOT yourself, to create these new paradigms in your life? And that's when you get to scale. So it's taking the idea that you know lots about already and going, what else can I do with this? Okay, I can create a course, I can create a book series, I can create a video series that goes on YouTube. Over the next 2 years, I can scale that audience up. So then we're able to make some ad revenue out of that. Then I can take that audience and go, leverage that to build another course. At $50 a month, great, you've got a community in there. How can I take that community and leverage them? So you take one little thing, make it a little bigger and more diverse, then take the next thing, make it bigger and more diverse, and then you keep going. And then you find lots of different things to scale out of. So you're never truly doing just one thing, and you probably need to get help eventually, because you can't do it all yourself. So you need either staff or you need offshore virtual assistants, or in most cases now, just using AI to help scale that out. Yeah, so it's a lot. It's a great question though, but it usually starts with what do you know? And there's something that all of you in here will know that you're able to do something with. Hey.
Maybe the last question, maybe. How important is character?
Character.
I think my question was, what is more important, credentials or character?
I would say character, because credentials have a limit. So credentials get you in the door, but character keeps you in the door. So, but you can also get through the door just with character, particularly in this country. Right now, it depends on what you want to do. You're not going to get your first engineering job because you've got a great smile. You're going to have to do a little bit of study to get through there at first. But what then gets you further is then your character. What is character? It's a bit of your personality, but it's also your integrity. So if your character is diligent and hardworking and consistent, well then that will appeal to certain people. If your character is charismatic and outgoing and a little bit crazy, that's going to appeal to some people as well. So character can take you further. Credentials kind of limits you. Whereas a character, someone who is inventive and adaptable and all those things that you have as a personality type, you can reinvent yourself in 6 months and become a completely different person doing a completely different thing. So your options for how to live your life are endless. I think I'm kind of showing that in my life, constantly reinventing.
Mm-hmm.
In 6 months' time, this entire podcast will be redundant because I will be in a different person again.
Yeah.
And so it's my character that will come through with that.
I had a quick question. In the different fields you worked in, what were the most efficient ways that you were able to reach out and collaborate with other people in your industries and maybe other industries as well?
Oof. Networking, it feels like it's not efficient because when you go to a networking function, generally your customer and your collaborator isn't even there. What is the people who are there know who your collaborators are. So if you've got a really clear, like in networking, if you've got a really clear idea of why you're going in there, my name is, this is my business, what I'm looking for is this. The other person can't help but picture in their mind someone they know who needs that. So they go, oh, I'm looking to collaborate with people who can help me to reach more people with this message. Oh, great, I know a guy who has, and then they start to make those connections. So it looks like it's really inefficient, but it's actually remarkably efficient and quite cheap as well. Because most networking either doesn't cost anything or it just means a membership. But I think in Darwin, we have so many networking opportunities. You just, do you know someone who goes there? Great, they'll invite you along. So I think that's a really good way to do it. Networking is very human. It's very natural to people. It's terrifying to some people because, how do I walk up to someone and say, hi, my name is, without you looking like you're creepy? But the reality is everybody's there to do that and everybody's waiting for you to do it first. So if you do it first, just get it out of the way. Or do what I did, start your own networking group and then you don't have to ever network ever again because you're drawing everyone to you. Just looking for that, just one more question.
Yes.
That one spicy take.
The one spicy take.
You already did the network marketing, so that was not as spicy as I thought I'd be.
Should I add one more?
Yeah, go for it, Preeti.
So we talked about you should have a goal. You look forward for what life you want to. But I feel it changes when you get more exposure.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so then your plan needs to be a little bit adjusted as per your new
Absolutely.
vision. So
Absolutely.
how we incorporate with that?
Just go for that first goal first. Because inevitably, life will not give you that one goal. It'll show you something better or something different. And you will change. As you learn more, you change as a person. Your personality will change. Your situation and circumstances will change. You'll have a baby. And then, oh God, everything changes when you have a baby, right? So does that mean you stop dreaming? Of course not. But your dreams are different. So you go, okay, well, I'm so used to now going for a goal that even now that things have changed, I can still go for other goals. It's just your goals change. In my case, they become bigger. Like I sat down with my coach and she said, how much money do you need? I went, $3.2 million. And she says, oh, that all? I'm like, yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? She said, well, you told me you want to change the world and do these things. I don't think $3.2 million is going to do that. Like what, $32 million? I said, yeah, maybe. Why don't you go for $320 million? Like, that's like a lot more than what I've got now. That's 100 times what I've got access to now. And I thought, well, why the hell not? Because as I get bigger, so too my goals get bigger. So as you get more experienced, so too the things that you'll learn will get bigger. And as your life becomes more complicated, so too your goals will become more complicated. But the beautiful thing about that, as they get bigger and more complicated and uglier and scarier, so are you. You're bigger and older and uglier and scarier too. So you're able to do those things. Your capacity, that's the beautiful thing about humanity. We don't have a fixed capacity. Our bodies have a limit, but our minds are completely unlimited. We're able to, there's crazy stuff that people are doing with quantum physics right now. It's just crazy stuff. And you think about that, how the hell did people come out with that? Think about the nanotechnology inside of a computer chip. How the hell does that even, and they're not even quite sure why it works, it just does. So, and the human mind was able to conceive these ideas. So imagine what you could do with yours.
My last question is, what's the one thing you're most proud of?
I was about to say quitting smoking in 2010, but I just took a tablet for that, so I can't really take credit for it. We're going to get real personal. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Not allowing, it's a trigger warning, okay? Not allowing being molested as a child to be what defines my life now. Being able to not only deal with it or compartmentalize it or move on from it, but just not letting it even be part of the story I tell. And this is not a story I tell ever, right? But I'm proud of the fact that it's not the definition of my life. Wow. That was not what's planned, but I thought I should say it.
Dante St. James, thank you so much for being on with us, being a part of this vibe that we have created today. I am absolutely honored to interview you today, and thank you so much.
Thank you.